Hey, first graders. So I'm here today to finish reading Mercy Watson Goes for a Ride with You. If you remember, Mercy and Mr. Watson are on a joy ride in the pink convertible, and they just realized that baby Lincoln is in the back seat, and baby Lincoln helped them push the brake pedal because Officer Tomalolo was coming after them. So let's see what happens rest of the story. Chapter 12. The car screeched. The car shuddered. The car careened. The car caroomed. And finally, the car stopped. Mercy was very surprised. Suddenly, she was not driving the car. Suddenly, she was not even in the car. Suddenly, Mercy was airborne. Mr. Watson was wearing his seatbelt. He did not fly out of the car. Baby Lincoln was wearing her seatbelt. She did not fly out of the car. Officer Tomalolo was safe in his police cruiser. He did not fly out of his car. Only Mercy flew. I love that picture. "Oh dear," said Baby. "It's an emergency," shouted Mr. Watson. "Alert the fire department." "Was that pig wearing a seatbelt?" Officer Tomalolo asked. "No," he answered himself. "That pig most certainly was not." "Have laws been broken here?" asked Officer Tomalolo. "Most certainly, most definitely, laws have been broken here." Mr. Watson and baby Lincoln and Officer Tomalolo watched Mercy fly. They watched her land. Oof! Mr. Watson got out of the car. He ran to Mercy. He wrapped his arms around her and held her tight. "My darling, my dear," he said, "please tell me that you're all right." "Oink," said Mercy. She snuffled Mr. Watson's neck. "Hooray," said Baby, "she's fine." "Oh, thank you," said Mr. Watson. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." He bent his head and covered the tips of Mercy's ear with kisses. "You are a miracle, a prodigy, a dear," Mr. Watson said. "You are a porcine wonder, but even porcine wonders cannot drive. In fact, porcine wonders should never be allowed to drive, ever." Mercy sighed. She was glad the ride was over. She felt a tiny bit dizzy, a little bit dazed. She wanted very much to go home. Chapter 13. Eugenia Lincoln and Mrs. Watson stood together on the Watson front porch. They watched a police car pull into the driveway. Mr. Watson and Mercy and baby Lincoln were all in the back seat. "As I suspected," said Eugenia. "Trouble, folly, and that pig is right in the middle of it." "Oh," said Mrs. Watson, "my darling, my dears." She ran out to the police car. "I am so glad that you are home. The toast was starting to get cold." Mr. Watson and baby Lincoln got out of the car. "We have had something of an adventure, Mrs. Watson," Mr. Watson said. "Yes," said Baby, "we've had an adventure, sister." "Folly," replied Eugenia Lincoln. "Yes," agreed Baby happily. "Folly." "Laws have been broken," said Officer Tomalolo. "Pig!" shouted Eugenia. "Excuse me," said Officer Tomalolo. "It is all that pig's fault," said Eugenia. She pointed right at Mercy. Mercy climbed out of the car. She put her nose up in the air. She sniffed. Could it be? Yes, it was. Toast! Toast with a great deal of butter on it. What could be better? Chapter 14. "Laws have been broken," said Officer Tomalolo. "Tickets must be written." "Officer, do you like toast?" Mrs. Watson asked. "Toast," said Officer Tomalolo. "Do I like toast? Why, Yes, yes, I do like toast. Why don't you come inside and have some? Asked Mrs. Watson. Why don't I come inside and have some toast? Asked Officer Tomilello. Said Officer Tomilello. I can't think of a reason not to. Lovely, said Mrs. Watson. She clapped her hands together. Right this way. What nonsense, grumbled Eugenia Lincoln. Toast is not the answer. No, sister, said baby Lincoln, but it does smell heavenly. She took a hold of Eugenia's hand. Well, said Eugenia, it has been expertly buttered. And so, on that Saturday, Officer Tomilello and Eugenia Lincoln and baby Lincoln and Mr. and Mrs. Watson and Mercy sat all around the table together and ate hot buttered toast. Did Mercy have extra helpings? She did. And so did Officer Tomilello. The end. That is the end of this Mercy Watson book. I hope that we will be able to share the next Mercy Watson together next week.